Hey everyone, it's Tom from tomandkatie.com, and today I'm actually going to be adding on to the video that Katie produced a couple days ago when she talked about how she started into photography and all that good stuff. So I guess we're going to talk about my story. So it's it's not as inspirational or emotional as hers, but mine's I guess unique. Whenever I was probably I would say around 17 years old, I started working at Circuit City, which is now closed, but anyway, that's besides the point. And at the time, I was completely interested in like IT, computers. That's what I was hoping to go to school for, and I figured, why not? If I'm going to get into sales, why not sell something that I was interested in? So I started working at Circuit City, and unfortunately, in order to get to the computer section of the sales floor, I actually had to start at the cameras. It was kind of like, you're low level and you work your way up. So I was in the camera department probably for a few months, and just got really familiarized with all these new gear. And me always being a techie person, I always found this equipment to be extremely interesting. And yes, I did eventually move on to computers, but I always found myself going back and checking out all this new equipment and just figuring out how it works, figuring out the details and all that stuff. So that's actually how I got interested in cameras. Obviously that's not so much of the background as far as how I got interested in photography. At the time, 16, 17 years old, it's almost impossible to afford, $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 camera. And at the time, I think the 10D was the new bad boy toy. And so I couldn't afford that at the time. And so, obviously I went with some smaller, slightly more semi-pro point and shoot. And I had that camera probably for about 5 years. Move a few years on, about 5 years, and I started working at another IT job. And one of my coworkers was actually talking to me about a deal that he saw on a 40D online on some random website. He found a 40D for like $500, and at the time it was a $1,400 camera. So I was like, that's amazing. I can finally afford a DSLR that I've always wanted. Throughout the 5 years, I was always taking, these pictures with the point and shoot and felt incredibly limited as far as, what I could do with it. And so I got my hopes really high about that camera. So I decided to do a little bit of research about the website, found out that the website was a complete hoax, complete ripoff. They sold you the camera but didn't send you the actual accessories, or before they actually shipped it out to you, they told you that the accessories were all sold separately. So you had to pay for the battery, you had to pay for the lens caps, you had to pay for all that stuff individually, and if you didn't buy it, they actually didn't send you the camera. But anyway, that's besides the point. So I didn't get to get that camera. So I figured, that's a bummer. But I made it my goal to save up enough money to eventually get that camera. And a couple months down the road, I actually was able to buy it. And that's actually how I first stepped into professional photography. Not necessarily as a career, but as a semi hobby of mine that I picked up. And it just started progressing. I started shooting things that really interested me, like cars. Eventually, I was bringing my camera with me to events and places with my friends, and started taking pictures of just random friends of mine during events. And it was always a great emotional feeling that I had when they enjoyed these pictures that I took of them. I would post them on Flickr, I'd post them up on MySpace or Facebook, whatever it was at the time. And these people had this amazing reaction to my photos. And I just realized that that's it. I want to take pictures of people. I love that feeling that when somebody takes these pictures of mine and just incredibly falls in love with it. And as far as weddings, I think that weddings was an outlet that came easy to me. I started shooting weddings because I started contracting for a local company, and I was trying to determine if it was something really for me. So I second shot for a couple years, and realized that this is it. This is the biggest outlet that I can go into that will give me this instant gratification of that feeling that I enjoy. I think weddings is probably one of the most complicated genres of photography you could probably get into, because it's just incredibly difficult, and I enjoy that challenge, and especially the emotional reaction I get from people when I show them this amazing photography work of mine. So that's really it. Hopefully my story wasn't too boring. Started off with gear, and eventually I was able to get a camera, and whenever I got that camera, I remember just every single spare minute time that I had was spent on photography forums, on reading books. I think the first few years I probably attended like 20 seminars. Like I was just completely, and I still am, completely in love with photography. And I enjoy it so much that it excites me to think that this is my career. So again, hopefully that didn't bore you. And you know, we only have like one more day left. And thankfully it's on a day I have off, so me and Katie will be able to make our last video together. And stay tuned to tomorrow, and it'll be our last day. Take care, bye-bye.